So that's avocado toast.
What? Have you not tried it before?
I've never had avocado.
Okay.
Oh,
Never had
Well,
everything bagel season.
So, the moment you all been waiting for. What is this lecture about? I noticed that, in particular, excuse my English.
Me too. Me too.
No.
I want to chat. Go on.
Okay. A lot of you seem to have this idea that Dawn players don't struggle and we have the answer to everything.
You do.
It does check out, doesn't it?
Big time.
But that only works when we're significantly stronger than our opponents. So I've taken a few games to show you kind of the struggle that we go through. And I'm going to walk you through some of these positions and what I'm thinking about. This is really just to give you an idea of the game is complex, but it's fun. So if you get discouraged, just know that it takes time to get to my level. It's not an overnight thing. All right. So this first game we'll be going over is actually a game I just played last night. And it actually made me do a 180 on the actual lecture I was going to do, which was 2 truths and a lie. That one might be more fun, but we'll do that.
if you click hide on that thing on the bottom of the screen, it's blocking 3 points on the board. Thank you.
Man, those are really important points. As long as it didn't mess with the streaming, then yeah. Okay.
Should be good.
So I'm black this game. Telegraph is white. My goal is to kind of when I played this game, I was thinking about, okay, what could I do for 2 truths and a lie? And I was like, we can build a moyo. This was also inspired by Kevin because he's an interested moyo player. So I play from the farthest point to maximize my ability to build. My opponent immediately invades 3-3, which just reinforces the idea that I can build a moyo. The 3-3 is kind of an area where the opponent can take it, but in exchange, we're going to get a wall. Here, there's just several options. Whoops, that is not an option. Don't play that. It's better if I just brought a mouse. So this is something that I do have to worry about. This becomes a very complex Joseki. There's always the option of what I was actually going to play is I was actually going to extend. And the reason we do this extend, we don't play any other moves, is because what we learn is that this exchange here is actually better for white. And the reason it's better for white is because the peep is 1 line lower. That means white has some stability. If we connect, they can play to the 4th line. What we want is our opponent to make the exchange, which makes it better for us because it's 1 line higher. Now the peep is on the 6th line, and going to the 4th line is a little awkward. But also, when you have a thick wall, you want it all to be on a single line to make it as much influence as possible, right? So this is the idea that I had behind it. My opponent decided to play this move, perfectly fine. It just reverts back into the position I was talking about earlier. But I have a choice here. When you think about a game, you have a lot of choices. And if I just extend, then my opponent can play here. That kind of defeats the purpose of building a large moyo, right? Like, we want to be the first one to play in the area. So if our opponent, just kindly backed off, maybe we can get a high move like this, or we can go further and make it even larger. So when our opponent plays inside, we can force them into this weak group position. So in this game, I decided it'd actually be a better idea to take the corner first. which brings us to the first selection that I'm going to ask you guys. There's a lot of choices on the board, so take a minute, digest, and I want to know where you guys would play.
There's F's in the chat.
I would play B.
Why are there F's in chat? B?
Isn't A mandatory because you need to respond locally to contact them?
Could be. So we have a couple, I don't know how many F's, but we have F, A, and B. Anyone else?
I would do B or E.
I kind of like D.
What did you say?
I kind of like D.
D?
Yep.
D and E. Okay. Let's go through a few of them. So I played B. We're going to go with that one last. C is kind of obvious. It's like a weaker version of the one space jump. It is stronger, but it's lower, right? So it doesn't have very much impact. The slide is something that you would actually play when you don't care if the opponent gets the outside. So, for example, later in the game, white may be able to push you down even further. You play the slide when you don't care about that, or it doesn't matter. Now, yeah.
Can I interrupt you? Is the slide also an option if you don't make the Hane exchange at S4?
Correct.
Okay. So you don't make the Hane exchange at S4 if you're just going to slide at O2?
The thing about the slide, if you do it directly, is white's going to play like this, and then we need to play this Kosumi, which allows white to play a little bit more loosely on the right side. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah. But essentially is if we run these stones out, white is happy to play stuff like this, or probably play here first. And you can see that white actually got a good move here. Mm-hmm. In this case, it's the Hane at the head of 3 stones. What'll happen is if for some reason white gets this connection, white can play this one, and now the inside stones are captured, right? So generally, black will have to make this exchange at some point, which means the Hane here at T2 is going to be very big. Okay. There's also just a lot of local co-threats, so this is a playable thing to do. I just don't recommend it because it's not standard. If you don't play standard, potentially you don't have like ideas to fall back on. So while it is something you can play, just be mindful that this is the sequence you have to follow up with. And I think sometimes you can play here, but to be honest, you do have to worry about Aji like this. Or even worse, if white gets this move, then you have a double cut here. Does that make sense?
I think so, yeah.
So yeah, the slide is definitely possible.
So would it be better to not slide even in that situation to play P3
Yeah.
or something? Like just extend again if you want to keep like if you don't want to make all the exchanges on the right side, just to leave a little more breathing room for that stone, or is that just not a good path to go?
It's possible. If you do I think something like this, and if you try here, white is going to play like this, and you're kind of giving white this wall, okay. Which, if you remember at the start of this game, I said that I was going for a Moyo type thing, and this kind of defeats the purpose of what I'm trying to do.
True. And I guess, do you feel like this is a conflict with what you originally, like approaching at R6, if you're just going to jump into the 3-3 and then extend, should you have just played the 3-3 directly then?
No.
Okay.
Because I'm influenced by every move that's played since then, in this case, I know that if I play here, my options are open because most of the time my opponent can Tanuki, say stuff like this, right? And this is definitely a way to play, right? Now my opponent, they have to pick one of these options, and then later, and in the actual game, I can play something like this.
Mhm.
And you can see that, the 3 stones are not the greatest. There's other options too, like playing here or jumping out as well, right, for attacking these stones. So while jumping in the corner is not true to playing a Moyo style, I also realized the value of taking points because of the formation that I have here. I can easily either sacrifice the territory for a wall or I can take points directly.
Mhm.
I am more playing a flexible style rather than a Moyo at this point. And you'll see later in the game why I choose to play this. And this is particularly because my opponent is very good at the opening. So I can't really take the risk of playing like Takamiya or something. But in general, it's fine. You can play that way.
Thanks.
No problem. Hopefully I answered.
Yeah,
to-
you need to go too deep on that one thing.
I heard.
Chat says they'll play B.
Huh?
Chat says they play B.
B?
Mhm.
Okay. So F and G are just, they're wrong. They're absolutely wrong. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you anything not near the corner is wrong. The reason being is white will just turn. And if you have to live like this,
You're sad.
you're very sad. You just gave white a wall, right? Like, that's a very thick wall. Same thing with E, not correct. So I played B in the game, and this is how it went. How do you guys feel?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's okay. I'm curious if black really wanted to be the first one to play on the top side. Why did they play an exchange in the corner that loses center?
Exactly.
Right.
So there's a thing about S6 in this position right here. So this stone right here, S6, that allows black to get sente. Otherwise, black can be very aggressive against white. And I'm going to be honest with you, when my opponent played like this, I felt pretty sad. I was like, I wanted to be the first person to play there. I wanted the ultimate shape. I wanted to make that large Moyo type thing. It's like, look at me. I'm playing like a professional. Woohoo. No, that didn't happen, right? So what I learned from looking at AI is actually black can play this move. And the following sequence is kind of like it's a Joseki sequence. You don't want to just connect, otherwise it's a good exchange, because now when you play here, black can ignore. Potentially black can also play something like this. They can turn, and when you play here, now black is, they're happy to make a few exchanges and then jump out, right? This will default back into the position I'm about to show you. This is the correct order. Black will play here, white connects, we jump out. White jumps because if black plays like this, we can eventually Hane and black can't escape. If you're wondering why doesn't black just jump out, the biggest reason is white has the sente move first, and then white can cover. So there's no way to really break out. You're just delaying the inevitable. So at this point, when white plays here, I now have sente. And I could Tanuki this, and I could play on top. The issue with playing this move specifically is now the opponent will play here, and they've made a good exchange to stop some of the Aji in the bottom right. So if I try to play this way, I eventually need to play stuff like this. But the more that I play like this, I'm hurting my potential on the top side. So I don't necessarily want to play this move immediately. What I want to do is I want to make these exchanges. And then if my opponent plays here, I can now play here. Because what will happen is I can connect. and there's issues with my opponent's shape. So you can see how white kind of gets this shape going. I can even, before I jump, I can do stuff like this first. Right? I can probably cut. If I have the ladder, which it looks like I do, I can do that. You may even be beneficial to jump here first. Sorry. Make these exchanges and then jump. Something like this. And you can see how white shape isn't like the greatest. You could also play here, but I don't think this is going to be good. I don't know if we don't have the liberties to do this. Maybe we do. Maybe we do have the liberties. So we could potentially play here, right? So white needs to make this exchange and then come back. Which once we've made this exchange, we should just follow through here. And white is baseless. Now I have a wall that's facing a one stone. And then I also have a wall that's kind of attached to this weak group here, which means either group that I abuse, I can use my influence to attack either group. So what'll happen is white actually needs to spend a move here to prevent the Aji from, going out of control. And then black gets the first move here. This is a very happy situation. The game is still even, but black is happy that they've controlled the flow of the game so far. Does that make sense? Do you guys have any questions about that? We're clear? No one's confused? Okay. All right. So we're going to continue with the game.
Oh, sorry. I did have just one.
Yeah, go ahead.
And you want to play the sequence in the corner because it's the corner and not jump straight to playing the top side extension.
Oh, I mean, you absolutely could have just, after white Hanes.
Yeah, instead of approaching the bottom right corner.
Well, we approached it.
I'm saying, like, since you eventually want to come up and play the top side, you really, really want to play the top side.
You could just play it now.
You could? Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely
possible.
Like, at what point do you just, like, get up there and play that if that's what you really, really want?
I feel like that's a shrimpy looking white over there. Yeah.
So I'm people like to call me very greedy, aggressive. I really like squeezing the maximum efficiency out of my stones. So I tend to overplay than most people. Mm-hmm. And even in the opening, so basically the opening, it's really hard to overplay. So the thing is I was hoping to actually get Sente from this corner, which honestly is kind of foolish because in most 3/3 invasions, even if you have an extra stone, they end in Gote. Right. Which I didn't actually think about. I did think about extending, but I wasn't sure if I was going to make a good exchanges. So I just kind of left it. And I got this, and then we come to the game here. Yeah. There's a few more situations here. And we get into this position. But I really thought about playing maybe something like this. Mm-hmm. If my opponent jumps out, then I could play here. But what I was worried was that my opponent would actually just attach. And you can kind of see how, my whole idea, my whole thing that I wanted to do kind of collapsed. So I'd have to fight this position and then try to work from there to play a more territorial style. Instead, I kind of kept my options open by playing this one. So I'd hope that maybe my opponent defends and then I can get another, like a second wing move. But my opponent is also a strong player. And so they play a move that stops me from doing so. The follow-up is here. And I'm not really going to go into too much details here about the situation. I'm actually going to fast forward into the game where it's a turning point. And then we're going to go...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so this is how Dawn players play games. We go from the opening straight to endgame. there's a bit of a struggle in the top side, and I'm willing to link the game if you guys want it. You can also find it on OGS. I played it against Telegraph. So Telegraph played this move, and this is wrong. I know this is wrong. Well, one, I saw the AI evaluation, but two, like when I was playing the game, it's just, is this really the right timing and the right move to play this move? And the answer is no. I'm going to start off by showing you what white should have played. So white should have played here, and then white can jump into playing a move like this now. And the reason being is the top right is gigantic. It is a very large area, and it doesn't compare to the left side here, as you can see. So like the stone efficiency here, I'm capturing a couple stones, but all my stones are kind of cluttered and clamped together. So at most, I probably have 20, 30 points here. Well, this right side is definitely 40 to 50 points. So just defending it with one move is super important. Unfortunately, I'm also really bad with longer Biomi periods. I really excel at like if it's a blitz game, but my opponent had a lot of time on his clock.
Can I interrupt just to talk about the state of the board? I didn't even notice at first, but Black is in some serious trouble in the top right. Is that why white doesn't play up there? Because they think there's no way for black to
probably
do anything up there?
I'm not my opponent, but I imagine if I was in his position, it's actually really hard to like stomach playing another move here, right?
Yeah,
because you're like,
feel like
there's so many stones here, right? But if I can click correctly, when white plays here, there's a few issues. First, white can be pressed down, which maybe sure that feels good, right? But the other issue is with a move like this one, if white backs off, we're getting the whole bottom. And then later, so let's say white just jumps out, right? Later, black can attach. So you can see how my center group really just isn't in any trouble, and there's no realistic attack on it. There's also the fact that two stones are good. Overall, the shape on the bottom for black is pretty good. But there's also the fact that white actually has some other issues. And that's when I play here and you ignore, I'm going to be able to play this move. And can you see the issue with white shape? No?
There's no eyes for
You're going to be able to make Mia between capturing those two stones and connecting your dragon, right?
Yeah. So we're going to play here. If you connect, you're obviously going to lose 3 stones, which is probably the optimal response. I don't know if you need to connect, but probably should. If you play the Atari, the thing about this particular shape is that you're not alive here. And so I'm going to be able to play, stuff like this. Probably something more akin to here, and then this move, and then this Atari, and then here, and then now it's a Liberty Race. Right? So you would probably have to think about giving up 3 stones. But, are you really winning this Liberty Race cleanly? This one is a bit harder to understand. It's very hard to see, but the Aji exists there. So white would definitely need to respond probably by capturing, and then we can go full ham here. Yeah.
So I think at my level,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to see that Aji. I would, as white, think there's not really something. I can't see what black can do here, and I don't want to waste a move here. So how do I not feel like I'm wasting a move as white? Is it because what you said, it's the corner is worth so much that it is worth spending one more stone just to make sure
Yeah.
it is solidly mined.
If you have a large area like this right here,
Yeah.
like you can just look at the shapes, right? They're not cleanly connected.
Yeah.
If your stones aren't cleanly connected that you can see of, then you should probably add a move to make sure they're dead, right?
Mhm.
There's always exceptions. And you're just gonna have to play games in order to really utilize. Okay, these shapes allow me to kill these stones in this formation, because there are common corner patterns where if you have enough surrounding stones in a moyo, you don't have to add a move. In this case, you have this really weird connection here that's like a triple space knights move. I don't know what to call it. And then you have this half baked table shape here with the white thing, and there's a black stone here. So, in all fairness, neither I or my opponent kind of gave the shape its respect that it needed. So my opponent played here. I personally thought, if he's playing this move, this must mean I'm winning, because he's reducing my moyo. If he wasn't, he would have played something like this, or he would have played something like this. Because these moves would tell me I'm winning. Even if you add another move, I can reduce you. You can probably even go further with like something here or a play here, and if black tries to block you from this side, you can play here. Does that make sense? So further in the game, we play like this, and I play this move. We go through here. I'm now attacking white. As you can see, I didn't make that exchange yet. I probably should have, right? In all fairness, if I played this exchange and my opponent plays this, it's even more devastating when I attack this group, or even if the opponent plays here, because now I can threaten to like actually break through. So if my opponent plays here, this probably is just like really good shape. But I didn't do that. I played here first. He jumps in. I peep. He's going to make a few exchanges. He's really trying to live. And this is kind of where I make my first blunder. Well, I made a blunder earlier in the game, but in the Moyo attack, this is where I made my first blunder. And I block here. The reason this is a blunder is because if I nice move and my opponent plays here, why am I not worried about white cutting through? This one requires a little bit of reading.
Do you bamboo and then you have Miai to cut either the whole group of the three stones?
Bingo.
Or on the
Exactly. This type of thing is actually really hard to read in 30 seconds. So I don't fault myself for blundering, but it's something I could have read. I just wasn't looking for it. So I did feel pretty bad that my opponent gets me to play like this, and then he blunders. Why is this a blunder? So I played a bad move. He played a bad move. I played another bad move with my jump, and then he plays another bad move. So at this point, you could basically call us Q players, because we have no idea what we're doing in this area. We're just throwing stones around and hoping something works. This one's probably a little bit more complicated, but it has to do with this. Essentially, we're trying to force the opponent to play here, and then we're playing this move. And again, we're still not worried about white cutting through because we can bamboo. But this bamboo is a double sente. What do I mean by double sente? It attacks two places at once. Double sente is not a real thing, but we're using this because it looks like a double sente, right? We're essentially, if white protects here, well, I don't have to come back and cut this. I can now just focus on killing this group here. So in the actual game, I do a stupid and I play this move. Why is this bad? Well, my opponent just fixed this. Now we're sad. Afterwards, I play this one. Play here. I play bamboo, which no longer does anything, and I feel really sad because I wish I blocked because this cut doesn't do anything because I can connect, and it cuts here, I can connect, and I feel pretty happy. But instead, I didn't read in my 30-second Biomi that I had, and now my opponent feels pretty good about this shape. So I play here, opponent extends out. I now need to make life with my group. And then my opponent pushes up. I extend, he jumps. And this is also a very large blunder. So this bamboo here, well, actually, it's this move right here, the Q10 move. This is a 15-point blunder, which means it was an even game before, but now it's plus 15 for white. White plays a very large blunder here, minus 30. This is, if we have time and if you guys want to go over another game, we can. This is what I mean by back and forth. Like at this point, before he played this move, I feel kind of down. I feel like, oh no, I messed up this game. He got out scot-free. I lost all my territory. There's no way I'm winning this anymore. He plays here. And so I'm actively looking for anything that I can use to attack the group. Where is black play?
You can't cut at H7 now, can you?
No, if we cut at E7, we'll just play this one.
Mm-hmm. Right. Sorry.
Don't be sorry. Stop apologizing.
Can you play J7?
J7. And if I connect?
Then I was thinking you cut and you have me out.
Yeah. What if I think there's a few options I can do. Like, what if I play here?
Yeah, that's where I had worked out. Yeah, you can't go down and you can't cut.
K5.
K5. Nice, Katie. Nice. So white's going to connect, and then we can kill these ones.
Oh, nice.
But I'm not sure this is enough. We could probably do slightly better, but this is still pretty good. So my next question is, what happens if white plays here? What do you play?
Same or J6.
J6, Atari, connect, and then I'm going to connect. K5.
Oh no. No, don't do
If
this.
I play here,
Okay, actually, yeah.
connect,
And then, ow,
connect,
ow.
and I connect.
Oh no.
It's fine.
All is well.
All as well.
All is
There is no
well.
warm boss, you can say.
One thing you can do is you could play here.
Yeah. I was totally gonna.
The other thing is you can probably just get away with
Yeah. I was
playing this
totally
way. However, white could probably play this one. The somewhat related issue in this is that we can play all these things, but you'll see that you're making a race here, which probably doesn't work for white. But I think white's gaining enough in here, right? So this is a really good first move. I think you can find a better one though, and let's just play K5 directly. Why K5? Well, if our opponent connects, we just cut cleanly. There's no nonsense anymore. This doesn't work, and this definitely doesn't work. If the opponent connects, well, now they just blundered 2 more stones because I'm going to play here. And this is what happened in the game. Opponent connects. Now they need to play the Atari. They're going to play. This happened in the game. They push. We take probably something like this. And then here's kind of like the final Sumigo. What's the result here? And the crowd goes wild.
Can black net those things? Like Hane and net?
Are you guys familiar with the driving Tsuji?
Heard of it.
So this is very similar to a driving Tsuji.
Oh, driving to Suji. I heard dragon to Suji.
Me
I was
too.
super interested.
You did say dragon, right?
No, I said driving.
No way.
I said driving.
Dragon to Suji. Whoa.
A driving Tsuji is always keeping your opponent on low liberties. And so we Hane, they make an empty triangle, which is not liberty efficient. We continue taking the liberties, and when they play the Atari, they can capture Atari, connect Atari, and then they're dead in the ladder. So this just so happened to work because of this.
Okay. You could not play F10 here. Or it's just worse because why not if you can just...
Well, you could, but you're going to play this go.
Oh yeah.
And
Okay,
you
I didn't
get a
even
white
see that.
local-
I didn't
you
even
get a
see
white
that.
local
Yikes!
coast, so.
Yikes! No, I didn't see
Yeah.
that. Okay.
The worst part is like they could actually probably give up the bottom group now and play something like this.
You can cut it E7.
And now there's a liberty issue here.
Yeah. Yeah, this is not clean. Okay.
What if you just play E10 in response to the cut? Atari
Where?
You're in Atari. now.
E7
You're in Atari.
E7.
You're in Atari though. Are you not worried about those stones?
No, I'm trading.
That's not a trade.
Harsh.
You're gonna take 7, 8 stones for I don't know 30 points on top. The bottom right's already dead, or the bottom here is already dead. The trade is not good. Wife's not worried about that. So the reason I went over this game is because it's actually an emotional roller coaster at my level.
Yeah.
Because genuinely, when I play players my level, I have no idea who's winning at some point, other than like, oh, my opponent has good shape. Do I have good shape? Nope. Oh, I'm losing. That's essentially what happens. But when we both have bad shape, I'm like, I'm probably winning. And that's essentially what happened here. I was like, I definitely felt I was winning. And then when I played this move, I felt, oh, I'm losing. So somewhere in between, I can tell that I played wrong, right? I actually have a game that I lost. It's very short. If you guys want to go over it. Yeah.
I did have a question.
Yeah.
Another one that comes up a lot for Q players is, do I try to kill this or do I try to contain it? Right. So how did you decide when white starts dropping stones in an area that you have a lot of influence there on the bottom side? How do you decide that you're not going to let that thing live versus I'm just going to protect my territory or I'm just going to try to surround white and let them live small?
That's a good question. So let's say I play a move like this, right? If my opponent can play in a way that allows them to, kind of connect on both sides, that's a little rough for me. Because now when I come back to play here, they can just continue to press type of thing. And they kind of made like this really nice shape in the center. So the way that I evaluate it is... Who designed this out? When my opponent has kind of like 2 lines of sight but one of them is harder to get to. I want to create that barrier that makes it hard. There's also the realistic fact that even if you jump into here, I probably should play stuff like this instead. Simply because, one, I'm alive here, and two, there is not enough space on this particular board here for white to live with 2 eyes. If, let's say, for example, white plays this move, I can play here, and then white plays this move. Well, I can actually press down on this and then play something like this. Naturally, well, there's issues here, right? But the idea here is that if I didn't have to answer this move, then I'm 100% playing this. Same thing here. If I don't have to answer this, I'm playing this. Right? So in this case, when I peep, I'm actually creating that extra strength so that when my opponent does play here and I play this, I'm actually looking to cut the stones off. Right? I'm trying to create that imbalance of available eye space. So the short answer is
you extended G6 to make white sort of commit to what they're going to do, and then
I force my opponent to commit. If they came out this way, then I have the Aji on the right side, where like this still here is not. This is not enough to make.
Yeah. So is that intuition about this is not enough because you're not reading necessarily? Well, maybe you are reading, but at key
not
level,
really.
You're not. We're not reading out all these possibilities.
Yeah.
But the intuition is that's just not enough room for white to live.
The intuition, there's not enough room. And you can kind of see it when you have 2 walls. Like when you have 2 walls, if this was 1 line further, I'd be hesitant. Because like realistically, if it's 1 line further, that means there's more space for my opponent to jump into.
Yeah.
So the short answer is when the enemy is behind enemy lines, I kind of just go in and attack. When the enemy isn't, so say they didn't play a move like that and they played, something like this, then I'm probably going to look at this position and be like, I should probably protect my territory now. Right? Yeah.
Would a move not directly like that shoulder hit that made you feel like you were winning, would the other option of him doing the small reduction, did the AI prefer that move?
Yes.
Okay.
That was the AI preferred move.
And in this position, who was winning?
It was even.
Oh.
Like literally anyone who makes a small blunder loses the game. This is probably 1 point good for white.
Blunder.
2 points.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just in thinking about how you're going to respond as black when white starts trying to reduce your moyo, one thing that I think I have a hard time thinking about in this board position is whether the black group just around Tengen is strong or weak. Like if white starts to get if black, like say, makes territory on the 4th or 5th line and white gets a string of stones above that, does black need to start worrying about those stones, or are the 2 stones to the left there at whatever it is, J12?
Those 2 stones are more or less dead.
Okay.
Because pulling them out, let's say you try something like this, right?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I'm going to get a tiger's bounce, so that's off the table. If you play like this, then I'm going to push and cut, right? Eric suggested this move because it's the most reasonable, balanced move. So if black plays here, then you can make a table shape. If here, then we can push, and that's going to be Sente. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to spend another move to jump to attack the center group. And I'm going to make a few exchanges, and then I'm going to say, well, my center group is probably fine. I'm going to shoulder hit, right? Maybe this isn't the exact, how the game would actually go, but I would be confident to say that black is still winning in this position. and I think this would be like a major mistake to try to bring 2 stones out. Mostly because in an actual game, I would actually probably just ignore, because I'd be like, that area is so unimportant. I can literally just build the bottom and make up whatever points you're trying to steal. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about white playing there directly. I was trying to figure out what happened
Okay.
if white tried to reduce and black just backed off and took territory in the bottom. If, as a consequence of that, if one worry about
here?
that, yeah, exactly. If one worry about black playing conservatively here is that those black stones inside are weak.
Well, what would probably happen is we would make some sort of shape here. White make stuff like this. I can probably fix with potentially stuff like this. And then if white plays here, I can connect this way. If white pushes, I'm just going to capture these stones. There's also the fact that technically, I might be able to live locally, right? So if giving the territory, I'll just say this: if you're going to attack a Panuki, air quotes Panuki, because I did capture a stone here. Unfortunately, I do have a filled corner, not of my choice. If you're going to attack a shape that has a captured stone, you better make sure that you can kill both eyes, because it basically has 3/4 of an eye. Does that make sense? Okay. Any more questions? Do you need me to recap it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. From the very beginning. I did start with the mindset that I wanted to do Moyo. I jumped in the corner because I wanted Sente, and we can get that through a Joseki means. Turn, connect, jump, white jumps. We can play this way. White should protect to reduce the Aji. Otherwise, it becomes like this terrible attack. And then black can play this way and kind of build this beautiful framework type of thing. But that didn't happen. I make a mistake of not pulling out the stone. I actually just live in the corner, allowing my opponent to make actually good shape, a strong, thick group. Whereas now when I play here, my opponent can now play on the top side. So this didn't feel that great, but I know it's not, the game's not over. So I keep my options open by playing a large move. My opponent plays a large move, stopping me from making a double wing. And a double wing is simply playing on both sides of a corner with an extension. And then we jump into the Moyo, the nasty bit of the game. Technically, before it, there's also another part, but I felt like maybe that would have been too much because it was basically contact fighting and it requires a lot of reading. That's where I spent most of my time. My opponent played a not so great move. And the reason it's not so great is it doesn't protect the core areas of the board. And the core area of the board is the top right. You really want to stop black from trying to make something here. So just playing something as simple as this would mean that the game is more or less even. And white can continue to try and reduce. You can probably play a 2-space here as well. In the actual game, when my opponent played this way, I decided to make the first move. And then we got into this large fight where my opponent is now jumping inside, making moves, and I kind of make a blunder here. My opponent makes some good shape, but potentially not the greatest move. I make a small blunder. My opponent makes a blunder, and this is an opportunity to kind of fix some issues by playing out this Aji here, but I didn't do that. I play this bad move, removing the Aji, into playing this bamboo that cost me the game. and we get into this position where I now need to live on the bottom. I'm not feeling terribly great about this position, and then I get a chance with my opponent playing this move, and I get to play a power triangle into cutting my opponent off. So that's how that game went. I do have another game. This one's actually a lot shorter, if you guys would like to look at it.
Who's the opponent?
Yeah. You want to take a quick break?
Yeah.
Refresh your coffees. My opponent is Eric Yoder.
Did you win?
No, I did not win this game. In fact, I will show you what happens when you don't follow your ideas and you kind of go back and forth between ideas. You get absolutely destroyed.
I was gonna ask you.
That
about
happened to me in Tristram's game. Sorry.
Huh?
That's what happened in my game against Tristram. Is I abandoned my Moyo and then I
I see.
immediately died.
How do you balance the idea of playing with a flexible mindset where you're not getting hung up on making certain parts of the board yours, with not flip-flopping on your ideas constantly?
So with a flexible mindset and playstyle, you have options to play good moves, and then when you go back and forth on ideas, like say you play a flexible playstyle, your opponent plays one way, you're now forced to play this way. That's fine.
Yeah.
The issue is when you're forced to play that way, but you don't want to,
Okay.
and then you just start playing moves that don't follow that idea. That's when you get into real trouble.
Okay.
And that's what I'll show you in this game.
I feel like that happened. Oh, sorry. You go ahead.
No.
I've talked a lot. I was gonna say, like, I feel like what happens to me a lot is I sort of invade a moyo and I can't decide whether I want to live or die.
Wait, what?
Right?
You can't decide whether you want to live or die.
Live or run.
Oh!
Right?
Oh.
I can't decide if I'm gonna try to make eyes here or if I'm just gonna try to save some of my stones. And so I keep flipping back and forth every time my opponent plays a move.
Generally, if you can't live in Sente, it's usually better to run. Yeah, die in Gote. Yeah. No, you should die in Sente. So this game is an actual. It's literally the opposite of the other game. I'm white in this game. Eric Yoder is black, and I am playing. When I played this move, I felt good. I was like, I'm gonna play old fashioned. Hell yeah. That didn't last very long. In fact, I immediately just like, I'm gonna pincer this. And then my opponent played here, and I'm like, I'm gonna back off. All right, playing reasonably. And then you know what old fashioned players do? They don't play this next move.
Why?
The shape is troublesome.
Oh.
Essentially, black is going to wedge. And this is going to come to the first part of the game.
Wait, what do people usually do?
I thought old-fashioned players played C3.
What we actually play is no, they won't. Old-fashioned players won't play C3. They don't even play the one-space jump here. What they'll do is they can kick and then extend. The one space pincer is actually nicely placed. So if it's like this, like we can get into this type of fight, right? So, most of the time, what'll happen is we might jump, play here, and then we get pincered like this. And this would be a completely different game, but a reasonable one.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I feel like when I play on Fox, I play a lot of positions where it's like pincer, tanuki, kick, tanuki. And then you play on top, but you still feel a little over concentrated.
You don't. If they tanuki this.
No, not this. Like, but after the kick, the tanuki.
Oh, that's fine.
Right.
I mean, if they tanuki, let's say they play passive move, like they play here, right? Just play here. It's a very large move. It's also very large to play just a large move.
This is
Like
what
you
I
could
always
literally
do.
just play here.
Right.
The fact is like when they come back and play here, they're adding to a stone that's hurt, so they're going to be heavy. The stones are going to be heavy regardless, but you can always end that stone suffering by taking away its life. So in the game, I play D, and I'll show you the Joseki, and then we'll go into what you should play here. That's what happened in the game, and generally, that specific Joseki is only good in very specific positions. So when I played it, I thought about these other options, but I just fell back on what I knew. But I also knew that D is just wrong in the sense that it loses me actual points. So
Is it bad to play E17 instead of E15?
E7, what?
E17 instead of E15.
Atari the other way.
Well, when you play the Atari and they connect, you have to connect. If they play here, are you going to come back and play here?
Yeah, I guess that's not so good.
If you leave it, then later there's just going to be a ko. Which this could be a flower ko. This could be, it could be anything, right? Generally, I will say positions like this are not good. Some of them can be good. In this case, I don't think it is. I just gave my opponent a Panuki, weird Panuki, but a Panuki nonetheless.
Chat says I almost missed this and didn't get to 9 down.
I almost missed. Yes, I wrote a very obscure title. So the Atari, sometimes it works. Like here, I can actually show you. So if I backed off and we played this one, sometimes we can attach and force this. Or now, like, it's a very similar position. We get into here, we'll play the Atari, and then there's a ko. This is very similar because white would usually invade. We play here, then we play the Atari. It's just an order of move thing. But if we want to force this specific thing, we actually attach here first to force that. Otherwise, when the opponent plays like this, they give us this shape, which is really nice, right? So generally, when we're forced to play this way, they'll take the trade. They'll play the ko. Yeah.
Why is it really nice? It just is.
Yes, that's my answer. It just is.
That's fair.
You can see that it's really nice because of the way that it is.
So here's the thing: Black doesn't want to spend another move to fix the ko. He already spent a move. They, them, he, her. Black played a move. White captured it. Now you have to spend another move to fix it. White actually doesn't need to come back and protect this shape anymore. They can play anywhere else on the board now. Later, white might be able to play this move, which means you protected, they got Sente, and it's their right to come back and fix it. Right? That's the first reason why it's not good. So white is just thick in general. The next reason is there's a ko. So now if you play elsewhere, white now has a flower ko that they can play. Does that make sense? And generally losing this this ko is very damaging. So that's why that's not good. And that's why most players will just give it and play this way. Especially if they don't have the ladder. They'll extend like this and they'll just give white the Panuki on the other side. So now there's no connection between the corner and the side. right? And I will say that this particular shape is not unique to just like the cornerstones. You could have this shape in the middle of the side. You could literally play it here. This is why learning Joseki is important. No? No Joseki?
That's why I learned Joseki.
So you can literally play it here too. So
You can also play it in the center.
I think we spent a little bit too much time, so I'll just share like the correct idea here is to play something like this, and I believe I showed Ragnar this before.
You showed me the scan.
Yeah. Okay. In this particular case, this would be a correct way of playing. White gets this thick corner. They get to extend from both side groups. Black needs to come back and defend, but Black also got to move at h14, which reduces the left side because it's breaking the potential to build it even further. It also helps Black build on the top side as well. So this overall is an even position, and it works well. So in the actual game, by the way, A, B, and C, they're all moves that are playable. D is the one that loses you the most points. Just a fun fact. So I play D.
That's why you play it.
So now Black gets to live here. Generally, you don't make this this exchange immediately because Black doesn't necessarily need to respond, or later they can play stuff like this. But if you do play it immediately, there's nothing wrong with that. But the issue comes with this. I thought I knew this shit. I will say right now, A is what the AI recommends. B is the normal end of Joseki sequence. I play further. Remember when I told you I like to play for maximum efficiency? Well, this is an overplay. And the reason being is, well, when Black plays here, we're kind of in a bit of trouble. So I connect, Black jumps, and I follow up with a good idea, right? I'm like, okay, my Black is going to attack me. I should play in a way that maximizes the efficiency here. I play here. This is good. But we have a cutting point in it. I make this exchange first because Black does not have a stone at B14. If there was a stone at B14, then potentially I would die in the corner after he cuts. This doesn't work because, well, I now can play this way and live. I'm alive in the corner. So Black obliges my response. And now we get into the situation where I talk about my wishy-washy, terrible feelings and terrible shapes. I will say right now, these are all moves that I considered playing, and there's only one move that is correct.
I know the answer, I'm not allowed to say.
B.
B.
B? Why B? A?
I vote C.
C?
I
Are
don't
you,
see a Y on the board.
what?
Why B?
Yeah, why B?
Well, you're threatening to connect with the monkey jump, and you're making your weak stone at C12 stronger, so you're sort of shoring up the bottom, and then presumably if Black prevents the connection there, then you play C and you have an improved version, because if you play C immediately, you're weaker on the lower group.
Yeah, it's a great observation. If you said B, give yourself a clap on the back. You play like an AI. Cheaters. B is the correct move because we can do that. Essentially, if they cut, this is going to be good for us. There's also a sequence where Black can play these really obscure moves. This just is making light of the stones. If we connect, Black is going to play like this. and then they're going to come out. And this would be a completely fine game because we can connect underneath and we can live on the side. Great game.
+2 for black, right?
This one is probably 1.5 or 1. I'm not completely sure. So what happens if we get cut immediately?
We cry.
No, we don't. Sorry, wrong question. If we jump up and then get cut, what do we do?
Then we cry.
Die and go take.
Yeah.
Actually,
We cry and go take.
Yeah.
we're very happy
What?
Oh. Okay.
because cutting is a mistake.
Oh wait. No, I don't get it.
We're going to Atari. We're going to Hane. Black is going to stop us.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go down.
Mm-hmm.
If black either extends down or plays the Atari, we're just going to net.
We give up the stones?
Hell yeah.
Oh.
boy.
Yeah, we are.
My Cuban can't.
It's hard, right? It's hard. I thought the exact same thing. I had my cube ring on too. I was like, no way, man. No way I can play like that. So there's several ways you can do this. You can attach first, and then Atari, and then extend. There's several ways I can go, but the end result is going to be this net, which is actually good for white. But the issue is our opponent is
Eric Yoder.
yeah, our opponent's strong. So they might play something like this, or they might just bamboo, which now threatens to kill everything. So we need to connect, and then with something like this, black is out, and then we don't actually have that connection anymore, right? There's also potential for black to kind of like make eye shape here, even like if this is a ko here, right? And if we back off, then there really is potential for an eye, right? So there's actually a really good endgame there. There's also the fact that black can play this, right? So we need to be very careful.
It's not okay.
Huh?
So that move's not okay. He's so angry if I was one.
Just like, no. Yeah, I'd be angry too. So D is in the range of like not as good as B, not as good as A, just not good overall. So I play C. That's not C. There we go.
So I play F.
My opponent plays a really good clamp. I'm gonna play here. By the way, guys, connecting is minus 2 points. So now black is definitely winning with like 2.5 or something. Not really noticeable, but if you really think about the shapes, I've made several empty triangles now. Shapes are pretty bad. So I would say black is definitely winning. It's very early in the game too. I will show you the correct move, and then I'll show you what I played. Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say, I feel like this is like the secret skill of very strong players is they're not playing against their own shape. They're forcing you to play the shapes that they want you to play that are inefficient and slowing you down.
Yeah. They just make you play bad shapes.
Yeah.
And the time that they spend is just trying to figure out how not to play the bad shape.
So I push, and black is actually going to play this move,
Bad shape.
and then play this one. And then black can live, or they can bamboo. Either one is fine. If you bamboo, you're basically trying to run your group out into a wall, which may not go very well. Eventually, you're going to have to come back and live. If you just live outright, that's fine. White will probably play something like this or here, kind of connecting the outside groups up, and then black can play away. So this would be the correct idea and the correct sequence. What's also a good idea is we can cut. Except it loses you points. A lot of points. Black's going to play the tiger's mouth. And then we need to Atari, connect, push, last minute push, extend, push, extend, push. And then they can extend again. We could Tanuki, but we would face the wrath of the Hane. So we'd need to extend one more time. And then comes the gauntlet. This shape feels absolutely awful. I read this and I said, no way, man. I didn't like it. So here comes the wishy-washy idea. I play this move. You know how it was good before, but I made an exchange this time? Well, that exchange is actually really bad. Idea was cool. Execution, not so much. Here, it's even worse. Because I just gave him a free stone. So I play here, and I play this one, play bamboo, and then I play away. Here's the thing. In this whole corner here, I go back and forth between ideas, and I kept playing the wrong idea, thinking it was okay. But what is not okay is playing this cut and then not cutting the stones. This is what I would call a double-digit Q mistake. I shouldn't have played. The truth is out. I'm a double-digit Q. Because at this point, we went from being behind by 2 points to 6 points to 10 points. And just the span of, I don't know, 10 moves? Yeah.
What was the evaluation on the line where Black got the terrifying wall and was going to be attacking your group in the lower left for the rest of the game? That looked way worse to me.
Yeah.
It does look way worse.
Yeah.
So the actual follow-up is like this, and then we'll play here. If this one, then we can jump out. I don't know, probably something like this. And this,
is also weak.
in this case, it's actually only black plus 6. Yeah. But I mean, if you consider the situation, it looks like we have a lot of territory. But this is actually more territory than this.
Right.
Yeah, there's the P, there's the 3-3.
The issue is this shape right here. Later, I have to connect. Later, I have to play here. And later, when they play this one, and this one, and then this one. The question is whether or not, do I still have the same liberties when he does it? Because if I don't have the same liberties, I have to run. And if I have to run, what happened to the 3 stones, right? So the Aji there is absolutely terrifying. It's not great. So I play this wishy-washy feeling, and then I play another move that's terrible. I play away. Why is this bad? Well, Black is going to play all the Sente moves. That's great. White actually needs to fix their shape on the top side to make this reasonable. Otherwise, if you play what I did, how do you attack White's stones?
Kind of like breaking the tiger's mouth with J16 that's popping out to me.
That's a good idea. It's a good idea.
Or just
Ben, any thoughts? How would you attack the White stones?
Oh god,
Could-
that's so bad.
Go ahead.
Could you do it just by living, like you talked about earlier, with the A15 move or something? Like that's a kick, right? And it reduces that liberty over there, and it makes the black group live, and it makes you stronger. Like it makes that like a
It's
stronger place.
Black's move.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
You want to play here?
Yeah, you said you needed to play back there at some point, anyways, to live, and you could do that, and that still puts
I see.
more stuff in proximity to the.
That was in this, not that one. That was in this sequence right here. Black needed to come back and live in this one.
Mhm.
The reason we don't need to here is because of the one stone that's already captured.
Okay.
The minute black just captures, they're alive.
What if white plays that move?
Well, the minute white plays here, black's going to laugh at you. Black's going to laugh at you because you didn't surround him, right? You didn't even save the stones, right? You have to turn here, but then I can capture. If you try to go back, you just capture. There's an eye there. Granted, black's not alive, but they're already out in the center. So the attack doesn't work here. So we're threatening to cut him. However, Eric is a smart devil, and he plays this move. It pierced into my soul, and I said this game is over. This game is definitely over. In the span of 20 moves, I went back and forth on ideas, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna play away, and then it's like, oh, you played this move. No, I should attack you, and then he counterattacks me, and now we're just in this situation that, well, I don't know how to describe it. My shape is in shambles, right? I'm just absolutely getting beaten down here. So, being a Dawn player isn't all what it seems to be. One bad day creates a game like this. So if you ever feel down, just look back on this game and be like, I played better than Jay. I played better than a 5 Dawn. All right. Do you guys have any questions about the lecture? Yeah.
I want to talk about where we are right here. So
Yeah.
Obviously White's group is in serious trouble. And so what is Black's goal here? Is it just to harass White, or is Black going to try to kill White here? Is Black going to harass it and just make territory in the upper right here? Realistically,
you can't kill it unless the opponent makes the same mistake I did. This is the worst way I could have played. Pushing and cutting. Well, you're probably wondering why. Well, Black's going to play here. And it's like, well, I don't want you to ruin my territory. We're going to push. I was like, okay, that's fine. I'm going to play here. Atari. He was like, okay, this is fine. No problem. And then, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Our liberties are gone. We can't play this anymore. We're dead. Okay, not an issue. I have a solution. We can run out. Well, what about this hunting? Well, shoot. He might be able to net me. I need to extend. Was this what happened? Let me think about this. I think it was, no, it was... Okay, yeah. We can honey. I extend here, 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 and then here. There's also a solution of just pushing here as well. I think, actually, this is the game right here. He pushed. Push, I need to extend, push through, block, cut. If I extend here, he extends. And, well, so first things first, don't try to kill someone when your group is extremely weak.
Yeah.
You lose on all fronts, and you feel bad for the rest of the day. The other thing is, in this case, it's more reasonable to think that White is going to have to give up 1 stone, and then you can profit, right? Because you're technically alive already on the left side, and then you can profit here. There's also, like, your corner is alive as well, so you can just connect or play a Tiger's Mouth maybe. And White still needs to run with this group. This group is not alive. So if they need to run, that means you're just going to get more moves on the outside, which means White needs to come back. And, well, Black is profiting by the fact that, White has so much weakness. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Because I think that's something I know definitely double-digit queue, but even some single-digit queue don't know whether they should just be trying to kill white or just trying to
all right. Well, in that sense, you really shouldn't be thinking about that type of things. Although you can, I think that's fine. In a situation that you think your opponent has really weak groups, go for it. I say go for it. You're going to learn from it.
Yeah.
Right? This is more of like an advanced technique, like when you're ready to become a Dawn player, to understand that this won't kill white, but it's enough to profit from.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's game-ending profit. Right? There's no way to come back from something like this. Because there's no influence, there's no areas where I can really say this is mine, other than maybe this left side. But even then, if we're answering here and then black just plays away, where's white's territory?
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
When you can understand that type of thinking and play this type of move, you're probably already a Dawn player, or you're getting there. But if you feel like you're going to play move and you're going for a kill, go for it.
Yeah. The other question here is this: I'm
Is
usually white in this situation, so
Yeah.
Me too.
I tend to flail at this exact moment where I'm just like, oh, the game is over. I'm going to make it so much worse and hope that something happens.
Chat has asked
Perfectly
if
fine.
white H18 is symptom.
Is it? Who asked that question?
The board's troll.
I don't think it is. So what happens if we connect? Can we do anything into the corner? So my first question is, does this do anything? And I would look at this and say, that looks pretty alive to me. Can we Hane and do something? Well, if we Hane and connect, black will just answer. And this should be alive. So unless I'm missing something, I think the 8 spaces is enough to live. Technically, this is 9 because white needs to connect in order to do any like real damage. So when we Hane here and we connect, this looks like 7, but it's still 8 because of A17. Right? Hopefully that answers the question. If you know a way to kill it, I'm happy to learn. So that's going to conclude my lesson. If you guys don't have any lectures, my point in this lecture was not so much to deep dive into certain positions, but more like share my thoughts, games that I played, let you know that I am human. I'm not a robot. I do play bad games, right?
He is human. He's not a robot. He just has a ghost telling him what to do.
If that was true, I might be pro in Japan, making bucks, big bucks. All right. Any further questions? All right. Let's.
The ghost wasn't that good.
Huh?
The ghost isn't that good.
Oh. The ghost isn't that good.
You got the ghost to the guy the side was beating.
Oh. Great. Okay. I'm going to go on the stream.
Thank you, Jared.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jared. Unpate asked, are they 9 done now?
Yes.
None
She
down,
has
go
to
around.
credit, so.
Yeah, I jumped 25 ranks in that one.
That's the way that works.
Katie was
wondering.
Oh.
Are these just for anyone?
Yeah.
And then, do you know if the avocado toast is